In 2020, the world stopped and the food business was greatly impacted. But that didn't stop the creator of this paleta shop to take her idea to the streets. Tucked away in Southeast Portland behind a small window, you will not only find some nostalgic treats, but also 100% plant-based. There's nothing sweeter than finding vegan dessert that reminds me of my childhood. That's why I'm meeting up with Rebecca, owner of Ice Queen, the first all-vegan paleta, aka popsicle shop here in Portland. So I'm gonna hear her story and her twist on plant-based treats. Portland, Oregon is one of the top vegan cities in the US, and the food has never been so diverse. I'm Eunice from RATEDV, and I've teamed up with Country Life Natural Foods to learn how 7 amazing foodpreneurs in Portland, Oregon have transformed simple vegan ingredients into amazing dishes. Let's go. Hello. Hi, Rebecca. How's it going?
Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to eat paletas. It was hot out there, so
Totally.
I'm definitely going to cool down
in
here. So Rebecca, tell me, why did you decide to open up Ice Queen and why vegan?
Well, I kind of come from a restaurant background, and I was just thinking of things that I would want to make, and I don't know, like I love everything sweet, so I guess like ice cream just like came to mind. I originally wanted to do a cafe that made ice cream, and I noticed through like all the planning that I just kind of cared about the ice cream. So that's kind of like how it came to be.
The most important part. It's all about the ice cream.
You know, everything else can wait. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
I know you grew up in California, so I imagine you grew up probably eating a lot of paletas too, because in California they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely a sweets person, so I spent my childhood like at the Mercado, because we live a couple blocks away from one, like eating the paletas there. And then also like I live near Baskin Robbins. So, you know, just kind of like doing a little bit of everything. Popsicles, ice cream.
And so making them plant-based, was it because you were already vegan before, were transitioning, or are plant-based?
Yeah, so I've been vegan for 8-9 years, something like that.
Time.
Yeah, and so it was never like a question of if whatever I was doing would be vegan. So it was just
you're like, I have to. I'm vegan. I want to eat these things, and
basically. And also considering like the things that go on in like the Latin community, like with dairy like problems and stuff. It wasn't initially like my driving force, but that's totally something like we get a ton of families who aren't vegan who are like, we can't.
Lactose intolerant. I have a lot of friends too. It's because that kind of shows sometimes they're like, this wasn't natural part of our diet, and it's our bodies get a little rejecting it a little bit.
Totally.
And so what was your reason for becoming vegan?
I didn't really know you could be a vegetarian until I was like in my like 20 or 21 or something. And I just like was always kind of resistant to meat in general. The joke in my family is that I always would make my mom overcook the chicken, so it was like super dry because I didn't really want to eat it.
The rest of your family's like, why?
Basically it was like I was vegetarian for like a couple of months, and then I was like, well, I'm like already halfway there, like might as well. And just kind of like seeing the footage, you know, and all the like typical stuff of what would make someone probably go vegan.
All those documentaries, that's how they get you. You're like, I know too much information now.
Basically, I knew too much.
Give me some of the inspiration on some of your flavors. Like, what does it come from? Like, what were your first 2 paleta ideas that you came up with?
So the first 2 are probably gonna be horchata and pina colada, which is super weird because I'm allergic to pineapple. So I've actually never had the pina colada, which is like a weird thing to say out loud. But I have.
It's actually really good.
I've tested it out with like a bunch of people. So the inspiration kind of behind horchata is like kind of already can be vegan. But I hadn't really seen it in a vegan version in a bar. And like that's a big question that I get a lot, which is like, what really makes your popsicles vegan as opposed to just like a popsicle? Like what's not vegan about a popsicle? And it's the sugar. So that's kind of like the driving factor.
And it's also the creaminess, because I know growing up, like going to the Mexican stores and like seeing the paleta cases there, I always gravitated more towards the creamy popsicles, which are, I mean, they're all milk. And then you become vegan, you're just like, I don't want the paleta, I want the water-based ones because I want the creaminess. So I love that you add plant-based milks to supplement the creaminess.
Totally. And we use like all kinds of milks. Like we just pair like what we think makes the most sense, like with whatever we're trying to achieve.
Well, on that note, I'm ready to try some of these paletas.
Yeah, totally. So here's the fudgesicle.
Yes. Fudgesicle, oat-based.
Mango.
Mangonada.
And toasted coconut.
Toasted coconut. Okay, so I can't help myself. I want to try the mangonada because this is like kind of iconic. For those who don't know what mangonada is, it's like a mango puree, and it usually has like tajin, chamoy. It's like it's usually like a slushy form.
So in this form, it's gonna be like we're shooting more for like a sherbet, like a mango sherbet is what it's kind of imitating.
Yeah. All right, I gotta try this one.
And the chamoy is actually made by a company here in town called Pica Drip.
Oh, I have heard of them. Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is so good.
Really?
And it's not like, for those who are probably maybe sensitive to tajin, I don't know what they are, but it's not like super spicy. It has a nice sweet, refreshing taste to it. The chamoy is delicious.
Yeah, I love
really
their
good.
chamoy. It's not super spicy, and they have a bunch of flavored ones too. We initially had tried it with the watermelon chamoy they make, and it was so good. But it tends to be like a little bit chunkier.
Yeah, this is nice. It's like thicker. You have a slight saltiness, but it's sweet and savory. This is amazing. If you've never had a mangonada, this is a good way to try it for the first time. Okay, so next, I'm excited about the toasted coconut because my go-to as a kid was always paleta de coconut. And I like the creamy ones. The creamier the better. So this one, I don't know if you have a backstory on it or anything.
It's pretty much the same. That was my go-to also. So I definitely had to do it. Like, wasn't even a question.
Yeah, it's like you have to have one. So if you love coconut, you're gonna want this. So. It's super coconutty. You use coconut cream or?
Yeah, so most people use coconut milk, but we use coconut cream. So it's gonna be pretty rich.
More fat.
Yeah. And that's why I guess the perfect texture.
So last but not least, fudgesicle. And what is a little bit backstory on this one? Like, why this one?
Just the chocolate. I'm just a chocolate guy.
Yeah.
So
I love chocolate too.
Yeah. So it's made with fully cacao powder, which is like also a local company of organic cacao powder. And oat milk is oat based, so it's like super creamy. I was really shooting for like the kind of like crappy fudgesicle taste that you remember when you were a kid.
But you went to the grocery store.
Yeah, but better ingredients, you know?
No, that's definitely like, this is nostalgic, right?
Yeah.
So people who are not familiar with different paleta flavors, I feel like this is a good one for them to try out.
And then also too, we get like a lot of the non-vegans, like that's where they want to try that because they're like, this is familiar. That one and the cookies and cream.
Oh, honestly, I like it. I keep eating while you're talking. And I love that you don't feel kind of gross after eating because, you know, it's not dairy heavy, or so if you're sensitive, that's really good. And
totally.
It's sweet, but I wouldn't say it's overly sweet, which is nice. I like that.
So that's definitely something that I feel like we're kind of known for, which is like they definitely have sugar in them, but they're not super sugary. And I did that because like while I'm a sweets person, I don't like my sweets super sugary.
Yeah.
So that was definitely like intentional.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely loved every single one I've tried. And there's a lot more that I could probably try that you have back there, but for the sake of not going crazy, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. You don't want to you mean you don't want a pickle popsicle?
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that. But what is it that you want your customers to feel when they try these popsicles?
A couple of things, like joy, obviously, because like, and that's hard not to have just because you're eating ice cream. So it's like, goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
But also I think like two things. I am really intentional about trying to like recreate an experience I shared with my family as a child, like between going into an ice cream store and like, just like, it's always happy when you go into an ice cream store with your family. I mean, it should be, for the most part it is. And also like trying to make that connection and like introduce people, especially here in Portland, to something that's super familiar to me. Like, you're probably not gonna find a cucumber popsicle in a ton of places in Portland, but to me, that was like a really important one to make, because that's number 2 for me right after the coconut.
I was torn. I was like, I kind of want to the cucumber because the juice of just having the drink, it's really delicious on a hot day too. So in a popsicle, it's probably amazing.
Yeah, so just trying to give people kind of that like Mexican American experience a little bit, but like also with my take on it. Yeah. You know, so it's like a little bit different.
I love it. Well, yeah, now you know, guys, where to get your sweets on a hot day in Portland. So as you can see, there's no better way to end a hot sunny day than with a nice plant-based treat made from simple natural ingredients. So if you want to check out some vegan recipes for yourself, you can hop over to countrylifefoods.recipes and try them out for yourself at home. Catch you next time on Rated V.